Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And today, we have an unconfirmed rumor that is very interesting, and I guess we have a lot of stuff to talk about. I have a full list of articles here in front of me that I think you guys will enjoy, but that rumor, oh boy, do I think you guys will find that interesting. So guys, if you end up enjoying this video, make sure you press that like button as it helps with the YouTube algorithm, and, well, it doesn't cost you anything. So why not? That's what I always think about this stuff. All right, let's get into it, okay? Let me quickly grab this. There we go. Yes. All right. So let's take a little bit of a look at the crypto prices. Not really doing too much. I guess I can comment about this for as much as you want, but generally speaking here, we're basically edging, whatever, towards the upside. It's looking okay, but not perfect, not juicy just quite yet. Tomorrow's stock market is going to open. If it looks bad, crypto's going to look bad. And here it said the S&P 500 ended the U.S. elections rally, years of volatility ahead. Well, actually, a couple of arguments are to be made about a correction coming in the general markets, and it's something that we've been worried about for a little while. Guys, let me actually take you guys all back to a little bit ago. What I've actually told you guys a little bit ago, right, was the story of how the stock market can collapse and how crypto should go up because of it, but right now it's showing signs of going down. If we do end up facing a very good stock market correction, as of this point, we are not 100% sure that Bitcoin and the rest of crypto will basically follow along, or whether or not it will get to an inverse correlation as of this point. So as of this point, guys, what I'm trying to say is be cautious. Be very cautious. I'm personally not going all in on crypto in the sense that the majority of my net worth is in crypto, but a part of that is USDT. And I've told you guys before, go for a staking/yield farming strategy where whatever happens, you're making profit off of this. You're making profit of whatever time you're waiting for Bitcoin to crash further or pump back up. You're just always making profit. And at this point, guys, I think the best way to do that is to not go fully into crypto and be prepared for some major crashes and major consequences. It's just preparation, it's just precaution. Yet at the same time, buy more crypto, because that's what I do every single time I get the chance to. Not every single day, every single time it's valid. And right now I think we're still at a pretty big dip. So I'm honestly still buying more, but I'm keeping some fiat on the side for in case of. You guys get my drift. Because we don't know what's happening here. It's such a crazy time, to be honest with you. All right, let's move over into, and I will show you guys this again. I have to kind of get used to clicking these things properly. The rumor. I saw this, and I think it's rather interesting. Ripple is buying back shares from investors. Despite the crazy headwinds with the SEC, we grew very quickly. Guys, let's quickly say here, what we are talking about here is a rumor, unconfirmed news, and I've tried to find an official source. I couldn't. And so take this with a grain of salt. Nope, take it with a spoonful of salt, as there are a couple of things which don't really work out, but you'll see that in just a second, because it could very much be real, and I'll tell you guys why in just a second as well. Despite the crazy headwinds, Ripple grew quickly. CEO Brett Garlinghouse said the company is buying back shares from investors who gave it $200 million in 2019. So the $200 million was a Series C led by Tetragon, I think 66 Capital Ventures or something like that invested in SBI. It's real. The fact that despite the crazy headwinds from the SEC, Ripple still grew is also real. So those two parts add up. The only thing which doesn't necessarily line up is the fact that Ripple is actually buying back these shares. Ripple has bought back, this is their story, the shares it issued after securing $200 million in funding in 2019, an unusual move which CEO Brett Garlinghouse said underlined the crypto company's momentum despite its ongoing battle with the SEC. Now, I'm not sure what to tell you guys about this, because I'm honestly not sure what the probability is of this being the truth or not, in the sense that it's not so strange to buy your stock back if you're so adamant about it really going much more crazy, but I'm not honestly too sure why they would buy it back at a 50% premium in 2 years. And even if they do, then why would the companies in this sense here sell it, as if it's doing this stellar and this amazing? That you'd basically think that either Ripple is buying it back because they think they're going to win the lawsuit, but their investors don't know that, or something along those lines, or the 50% premium is just so severe that these investors are like, okay, well, we're going to get rid of it now because even though you're going to win and their stock is going to just skyrocket, we want to get rid of it right now because you're giving us so much. It just doesn't make a lot of sense unless it was in the contract from before. They could buy it back at a whatever premium, because that sometimes is in there too. Ripple secured Series C funding led by Tetragon with investments from SBI, Route 66, that was what it was, at a $10 billion valuation in late 2019. Ripple is reacquiring the equity shares at a $15 billion valuation, which suggests that investors made a 50% profit in just over 2 years, which is pretty amazing though. The company did not confirm the details of the transaction beyond the company valuation. So the details of the transaction in this case, meaning who exactly bought and what exact number they got, because sometimes you might even get a premium above the actual valuation. But the only thing which they're basically claiming is truth is that Ripple's new valuation is $15 billion, which again I could not confirm, and the fact that they bought back shares, we don't know how many, we don't know from exactly who. And theoretically speaking, it's not confirmed that they actually bought the Series C funding because, again, they did not confirm. I think what the Series C funding is mentioned here for is to showcase that 2 years ago, 2.5, 2019, the valuation was $10 billion. And right now, apparently, the valuation is 15. And they heard from somewhere that they bought back. All right. Once more, they do not confirm this inside the entire article. I've seen one derivative in the sense that I've seen one article that was derived from the previous one, I'm presuming, but it also does not state any sources. And I've asked Twitter now for you guys to come back to me. I've checked Brad Garlinghouse, I've checked Ripple, I've checked all their most recent articles to see what I can find in there. But I did find this. Today, Ripple's thrilled to announce a $200 million Series C funding, right? Just talking about that. But this is from a long time ago, obviously. There's nothing really new in that sense about it. I've tried to look everywhere that I could. Ripple's responses, check these articles out. But even here, nowhere did they mention, except for, stellar growth and whatnot, nowhere did they mention we are buying back stock or our new valuation is $15 billion or something like that. Or I'm missing it. Could be. Maybe there's been one employee of Ripple that I just accidentally missed and didn't check out that has said this. Here it says, share buybacks are uncommon but not unheard of among venture-backed companies. Typically, they are a very inefficient use of capital for startups, Redpoint partner Thomas Tungus wrote. This is also two-sided. From one end, let me actually put it like this again. I have to get a better way. I have to put some keybinds to it. From one end, it's the truth. It's very inefficient to buy back your shares because what's the benefit from that? Well, you have a bigger ownership, but theoretically speaking, you're just wasting money because the valuation has gone up. But since you're still private, you're giving the investor, which initially lent you money back before actually going public. It's a risky thing, nor does it really benefit you that much over a longer run, depending on how you go about it. Most of the time, it's just not worth it for the premium which you pay. So it's not that common because at that point, you need more and more money most of the time. And so if they're not going to go for a next series, basically, then this money, they either have made so much money where they just want to buy that back at the premium because they know they're so liquid and they're generating so much that it's going to be better for them to do so. Most of the time, I don't think that's the case. For most startups, Ripple is still considered a startup as of this point. And what I'm thinking here is the only way in which they would actually make sense for them to buy it back is if they were to actually get into a lawsuit type of situation in the sense that they are going to basically, they've already gotten basically a proposal for a settlement that is already pretty good. And they're like, you know what, we're going to win this 100% sure in our own minds. So let's get as much equity as we can in our own hands so that all these venture capitals are out. Or there was a problem between the venture capital. But even then, we've seen before Ripple basically fixed the lawsuit between one of their, you know what I'm thinking now, actually? Ooh, while I'm recording this, I'm thinking now, wait a minute. There's actually been a case before where some investors in Ripple, let me look this up on my other screen, guys, if I can. Might go dark here a little bit. Let me see. Ripple investor lawsuit. This kind of is like a streamy format right now, but there's actually been a different lawsuit, or maybe two of them before. Here, I'm looking it up again. So, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'll just open it up, whatever. This is from a couple years ago, I thought. Can I, let me quickly show you guys what I mean. All right, I have to put back the other screen. This is an article that I think is from a couple years ago. Tetragon lost its bid to reclaim its portion of a $200 million Series C investment in the blockchain company. This is from March 7, 2021, this article, but I think the information is from even longer ago. Let's quickly check this out. This is just, guys, I'm literally so focused on Ripple XRP stuff that all of a sudden, I just remember some news I covered like years ago. Oh, man. This is interesting to me. All right, so one of Ripple Labs' largest financial backers lost its bid to reclaim its $175 million investment in the blockchain company. A Delaware court denied the multi-billion asset manager Tetragon Group's request to redeem its Ripple equity for cash in the midst of an ongoing legal battle between Ripple and the SEC. UK-based Tetragon filed a suit in January to reclaim its portion of the $200 million Series C financing of the blockchain company. It led in 2019. The suit also aimed to freeze Ripple's liquid assets until it paid up. Now it appears Ripple won't have to, with a Delaware Chancery Court judge on Friday rejecting the plaintiff's case. Ripple called the lawsuit meritless at the outset, saying at the time Tetragon only had a case if the SEC determined XP to be a security. The terms of the initial investment gave Tetragon the right to redeem its Ripple equity if XP was found to be a security, which is still the case, by the way. That basically means if XP turns out to be a security, a lot of the, most likely all, actually, Ripple's investors get to step out, and Ripple has to pay the stock price basically that they agreed on at one point or another. So it could actually be, just reading it this far, because this is an old article, that Ripple bought their share back at a higher valuation because they wanted them out. But that doesn't make sense if you then went through a lawsuit first to keep them in, right? As we just earlier stated, you need the money. Interesting. XRP is no more a security after the SEC filed the enforcement action that it was before. Fact, the court said, in the enforcement action, by contrast, asked that question. The question is not yet resolved, so the determination has not yet been made. The filings were not immediately available at press time. Let's call Tetragon lawsuit what it is, an opportunistic move to take advantage of the SEC allegations. What has always been clear and made so even more today is that the SEC still has to try to prove their case in court, which we do not believe they will be able to do, Ripple said in a statement. And the fun fact about that is that their investors really stabbed them in the back, you know? Some seed investors like that are private investors in a series. It's really funny if they're trying to kind of stab you in the back, because at the end of the day, they invested so much money into you, and going for such a lawsuit when it's to some degree meritless is just hurting your own brand, kind of, because you invested such a large sum of money into it. So I'm not exactly sure why they would ever go for some shitty tactic like that. Let me actually look up something else here. I'm thinking, you know what? I just asked over on Twitter if any of y'all know anything about this little rumor. Let's quickly see if we actually got some sort of reply just now in the last couple of minutes I've been recording for. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, I no, what people are just sharing with me is different articles. Okay, we have a different article. I'm not gonna press the link, but somebody shows me Crypto Panic. Let's see here. Let me actually look up a couple of aggregators here. So one of the aggregators we sometimes use is this right here. Let's type in Ripple. Search as keyword maybe. Okay, let's see. This is the block crypto. I think we have that open already. This is the block crypto, okay? And that's basically it. This protocol website does not show up. I'm also not sure how good this website is, or how good their articles are, basically, in terms of trust and whatnot, right? It seems very professional. You know, it seems really beautiful. That's why I was like, ooh, I need to cover this. But, you know, I can't confirm nor deny. You guys get the drift. But I just wanted to get you guys this news as soon as possible, because I think it's very interesting. If you're once more asking why would they buy back, well, it depends. It depends on a lot of different factors. You can obviously get the appeal in the sense that you want to buy back if you have the liquid funds to do so, and you don't need their money anymore, and you think you're gonna basically increase in value, which almost every company thinks. So yeah, I think it's quite obvious why you would buy back. No, if you, hypothetically speaking, have your own company, you had some investors in it, so you have a smaller share in that company because you just needed the money, you needed their money to grow bigger. All of a sudden, your company, still private, is doing extremely successful. Well, you want the biggest share possible once it goes live, right? It's the same thing as like it's like investing, just literally investing more. Okay, you have a certain amount of XRP right now. Once more, none of these videos are financial advice or legal advice. You have a certain amount of XRP right now. Well, if you think it's going to do extremely well, you'd basically try to get more. So I'm not exactly sure how it cannot be understood by somebody why you want to buy back. I think it's very logical to deduce right there why somebody would buy back. Point, however, being, if this is really the truth, something big could be up in the near future here. Because if they're buying back at a 50% premium, that's a really interesting one. On the contrary, cannot confirm. So I'm really wondering where they got it from, and that's why I asked it over on Twitter. Unfortunately, I have absolutely no authority, so I cannot get anything done in the sense that I cannot make somebody reply to me. I cannot reach out to Ripple or something like that. I wish I could. So we're just going to have to wait the old-fashioned way. But if I do find something, I will definitely update you guys on the matter, as I think it's very peculiar. Yeah, unfortunately, no. We have not seen anything. Love your videos. Thank you very much, Stevens. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we cannot. All right, let's quickly cover some other stuff then. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Elon Musk makes McDonald's an offer they can't refuse. What that basically was for, guys, was Elon Musk saying, hey, McDonald's, I will eat a Happy Meal if you guys allow Doge on there. So you allow for things to be bought with Doge. McDonald's, I don't think has actually commented. I believe Burger King did say something really positive, but the thing is with these social media accounts, guys, they can say one thing and mean another. And I think the main reason why McDonald's, for example, hasn't really responded, instead of like it being, we'll look into it or something like that, which they might have done, is because it's not just a social media manager who can decide then anymore, right? Because you can literally change the valuation of the stock with such a response. With Burger King, what they were saying was only the king can or something like that, which is just, I think, fun. The social media managers and guys like that can reasonably do. But that's, I think, why. Something I actually mixed up a little bit was I saw some articles about McDonald's getting into NFTs, which again does make a little bit of sense because I think as the youth grows up, they're basically going to be involved with metaverse from such a young age and NFTs that I believe, honestly, this is speculation, obviously, that they're also going to be getting used to getting things in a digital manner. And so the toys that we all know from McDonald's that you used to get, that used to be able to play sound, and now I'm not really sure what type of toys you have anymore, that they will eventually all become digital as well in sort of an NFT manner, where you just, whenever you pay, this is what I'm envisioning, right? Whenever you pay eventually with your card or your phone or your new app thing, that is automatically going to put that ERC 721 or whatever token you have. That would be awful, I guess, if it's like a Ethereum NFT, by the way. That would not be possible because of the fees. Let's say a Solana NFT, then on your card because you swiped it with that one. Or maybe you have to swipe your kid's card or something like that. I think Web3 in that sense is going to also develop in some strange fashion where you can do families and stuff like that. It's something I've been thinking about so much, man. Because the world is changing so rapidly, you can see it change to a certain degree. It's like a Google search right now is free. Eventually it's going to cost money, I think, but very little. Neglectable money. But most likely it'll require some sort of gas to run, basically, because internet would become more decentralized as time goes on. So much stuff is going to change. All right. Blockworks said Goldman Sachs says the metaverse is an $8 trillion revenue opportunity. Now, I want to quickly say something about Goldman Sachs, guys. If you follow along with their investment advice, I'm not exactly sure why you do that. Look up the Goldman Sachs scandals for yourself over on Wikipedia. I'm not going to do that right here, but look it up for yourself. You'll notice why you shouldn't necessarily go by their words. Just letting you know. Giving you a little tip from old Dusty. Check it out. All right. So whatever they say, just disregard every single second of it, or every single phrase, every single word. If you ask me, that's the best way to go about these things, because they have literally nothing good to say. I think, oh, I closed something by accident. Let me quickly put that back in. There we go. We had Trading View about the election, which I think is interesting, but I don't know too much about because right now there's just so much tension in the world that it's pretty difficult. And then we had two articles. Crypto Bull says, I look at the stock market and it is just starting to correct, and that worries me more. We could see another 20% fall for the NASDAQ, which could definitely be crazy, it says Novogratz. We had an environment where the Fed was pumping in money nonstop, and that created, in some ways, gambling economy, or at least call it speculative economy. Fair enough. And the IMF urges El Salvador to drop Bitcoin as legal currency, citing financial risks. Also, one that was kind of obvious to eventually hit the markets, a little hit like this. Can I say I'm sad about it? Not really. Can I say I'm angry about it? Not really. Can I say this was supposed to happen? Yeah. Obviously, the IMF or any entity like that would eventually come out and say, oh, what you're doing is not a smart idea. Obviously, it just took longer than expected, I guess. And what are the financial risks? Who cares, right? There's 2, 3, 4 sides to the story in this sense, that there's a lot of benefits, a lot of negative sides to having Bitcoin as legal tender in this sense. We could all obviously get them. One is that it's being pushed onto the people. The second is you're involving your country with such a volatile asset and so forth and so on. We can go on with that list for a little while. Benefits obviously are being more versatile, being more progressive. We can kind of go on with that list as well, I think. Not sure exactly what next thing I would put there, but I think if we sat down for a couple minutes, we could think of quite a lot of different arguments. It's also, by the way, as far as I cannot remember from reading this article, it has to do with the ties with how you, for example, repay your loans, and the volatility of the asset can be a negative thing in the sense that you're getting paid in that, but then you have to convert it, which can be selling pressure, for example, which could also not be nice for Bitcoin because you're then also putting your reserves down lower if you do have some still left and you're not selling everything at once, for example. And if you're having loans to different countries and your official currency is Bitcoin, that also makes things quite difficult to measure in because all of a sudden your debt might become a lot more severe. There's a lot of problems with this system as of this point. I think it will get fixed though, and I think having the Bitcoin as a legal tender is not a bad thing at all. But as of this point, not all issues have been figured out just quite yet, and the dollar is still strong. So it's a little bit more difficult to make it work properly, but it's definitely out there. And I think as long as a couple more countries go into it quickly, it'll become a pretty easy standard. But the longer that other countries wait, the more difficult it's going to be for El Salvador to stay on its own, basically. That's my thoughts. All right. If there's something coming out on this, I'll update you all over on Twitter. As of this point, nothing just quite yet. It's just a little story that we have. Take it as it is, with a grain of salt. And cannot confirm nor deny. Nobody has retweeted or replied just quite yet, so we cannot say anything. And that was it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Make sure you press the like button and subscribe to the channel. Adios, amigos.